Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new Reaction and Review UK. Whether we like it or not, fans are very passionate people. Without the fans, I don't think franchises would survive today. They do things like fan comics, fan fiction, and now and then they make fan movies. Now, we've heard of 2 movies surrounding this character, and one of them, let's be honest, it's never going to see the light of day. This one has finally dared to show its presence at last. I believe this was supposed to come out 2 years ago. Well, you know what they say, better late than never. Today's movie is good. And I use that term, movie, because I want to just get on that real quickly. See, some people say you shouldn't judge things because they're fan makes or they're on the internet. When I'm looking at the description of the video, it has the word film in there, and another word for film is movie, so therefore it is being treated as a movie regardless. Deal with it. Where was I? Oh yes, tonight's movie up for review is Sonic. That's what they're going to go with, apparently, just Sonic. Not Sonic the Hedgehog, or Sonic fan movie, or Sonic some crazy annotation, just Sonic. I'm getting an Ang Lee vibe from this. So, is this movie any good? Is it better than Blue Core Studios' Mega Man fan movie? Or is it just about as questionable? Let's find out. With that in mind, everybody, grab some to drink. It's time to kick back, relax, and let's watch Sonic. Okay, if you say it's Planet Mobius, why are there people? You know, there's a big difference between Mobius and Earth, LeBron, just saying.
Must lose your humanity. I don't know anything.
I like this Robotnik. It's cold, heartless, and it's kind of a less cheesy version of the Satan series. So, that was Sonic. There's no Sonic the movie or Sonic the Hedgehog, it's just Sonic. So that was Sonic, let's just put an end to that. Alrighty then. First of all, let's ask the big question. Was this really worth the wait? You know, is this all the hype that it promised, and, you know, did I really enjoy this from start to finish, and was it, basically what I'm getting at is, was it worth the wait? No, not really. So it's okay, it's good, but not really worth all that hype and wait. But let's just get down to that. First of all, in terms of pros, it is great hearing Jaleel White's voice again, because I tend to identify him as Sonic, but I have enjoyed the other voice actors that have played him since, you know, Griffith, Drummond, and Craig Smith, who plays him now. And I kind of like how he didn't particularly go for the Adventures of or the Satan voice. He kind of tried to change it up a little bit. You know, it kind of kept you on your toes. It didn't give you the voice you expect. Which is kind of like what I like about Mark Hamill when he plays the Joker. He kind of changes it up now and then. Although, to be fair, if the movie didn't have Jaleel White in it, I don't think anybody would have cared. Oh wait, it's Sonic, of course people would have cared. But, you see what I'm trying to say is, I kind of feel like they used Jaleel White as kind of like a selling point here to sort of jumpstart it even further. And, well, to be fair, I've heard the vast majority of people who have voiced Sonic on the internet, and with the exception of Smooth, yeah, I would have gone with Jaleel White too. I have to say I like Robotnik in this movie. You know, he comes across as kind of cold, menacing, but it doesn't overdo it, which is kind of what I don't like about the Satan Robotnik, because he really hams it up and chews the scenery half the time. But this Robotnik, it's more sort of cold, you know, it's sinister. It's kind of like Hugo Strange from Arkham City, that kind of sinister, you know, without overdoing it. I would love to have seen more of him, but we'll get to that. I do like the idea of the premise in places because it's kind of an interesting take on the old Sonic formula. You know, instead of, you know, like collect 7 Chaos Emeralds and defeat a Fat Man, it's kind of like Robotnik, you know, talk about utopia and society, perfect world order and this sort of stuff. So it's basically conformism, society and utopia versus rebellion and freedom, you know. Kind of those elements that Satan kept preaching on about, but it doesn't sort of shove it down your throat in times. So I like Jaleel White. Robotnik, whoever played him, you know, Sega, make Robotnik more like this now. Seriously. I mean, I like, you know, snooping as usual, and I think, what's his name? Mike Pollock's okay, but I like Robotnik more like this. And the premise in places is okay. Now we're going to get into the complaints. Apparently, I remember Libron, or however you pronounce it. Apparently, according to him, this movie is canon. Yeah, because this takes place before all the Sonic games. And I don't need to point out that it is a fan creation, and it doesn't really count as canon. Just because you're a fan doesn't make it, part of the story. Just saying. Did I really need more fucking human characters in Sonic the Hedgehog? Because, that's the one thing you think about with Sonic, right? Human characters. No, I'm sorry, it's just... I know this is kind of nitpicky, but I'm getting sick and tired of human characters in Sonic games. All they do is, they distract away from the main focus itself. See also Chris Thorndike. And at times they really add nothing to the whole story. I know Sega tried to make humans more of an integral part of the story by introducing the GUN, but seriously, who actually likes those guys? Who actually said, oh yeah, GUN, my favorite characters? Nobody gives a shit. They were just a foil to throw in for SA2 in the Shadow the Hedgehog game, and then kind of been phased out since then. I think the last time they ever had an appearance in the games was Sonic 06, and we all know how much we love that game, don't we? I think the greatest sin this movie has is it's 18 minutes long. Because there are so many plot points, ideas, and exposition in this movie, none of them are ever explained or expanded upon. The opening shot of this movie is a ring, and then the Chaos Emeralds come out, obvious in allusion to the Special Zone and the Chaos Emeralds themselves. The Emeralds appear, they disappear. They don't reappear until right at the end of the movie. Never expanded upon, never explained, never given exposition, that's it. The next shot is Robotnik taking over Mobius, even though there are humans there, because, humans don't live on Mobius, they live on Earth. I don't care what the Archie comics do. I'm sticking to what I know, thank you very much. So, Robotnik takes over. We never see it, it's never explained, and 3 months later, he's just done it like that. Didn't know hostile takeovers could be that efficient, And then Sonic says at one point, I'm going to tell you how it got this way and how I'm going to make it go back. Didn't explain shit. The whole thing about roboticization and just Robotnik's ambitions never explained and never expanded upon, and so you're kind of left wondering, it's like a giant missed opportunity. And it all falls down to this 18 minutes, because I'm pretty sure on the cutting room floor of that movie, there's like hours of material there. Which is why I feel like this should have been at least an hour, like the Mega Man fan movie was, or it was about 50 or so minutes. You can't really tell a full detailed story, as complex as Sonic the Hedgehog, in 18 minutes. You can't do it. I mean, the Pac-Man movie I saw, that was summed up in less than that, and to be fair, that's all it really needed. But something like Sonic, Mega Man, or dare say a Castlevania movie, you cannot sum that up in less than 20 minutes. 18 minutes is the average length of a porn film, in some cases. That's kind of sad. Just saying. What I also find funny about this, for a movie that has his name in the title, he's featured all the promotional art, and it's basically based on the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, there's not a lot of Sonic in this movie. I mean, he shows up, he says a corny line, disappears for about 3 or 4 minutes, he reappears, says another corny line, disappears again. I mean, there's a lot of him near the end, but it's like, did you really have to waste all that time on fucking human characters? I mean, with the only exception of Robotnik, I don't give a shit about human characters. They can all just, dive under a bus for all I care. That's like making, I don't know, it's like kind of like making a Star Fox movie, and you don't even focus on the conflict or the Star Fox team, you just focus on some boring political bullshit. Then again, it would just be the Star Wars prequels, but with furries then, wouldn't it? But yeah, that's a pet peeve. It's just like, I mean, I can understand why. I mean, part of the main reason is, they can't afford it. Because CG is an expensive thing to have, and I can understand that. But like I said, if you're not really going to have a lot of Sonic in the movie, then don't make a Sonic movie. Because it's obvious what you want to make is radical freedom fighter of the movie. That's kind of what it looks like. Having said that, Sonic's CG effects are really sloppy at times. And I understand it's a low-budget movie, it's a fan movie. I'm not expecting ILM or Avatar-like CG effects and whatnot. But at times, I mean, he looks good. It's good to look at when it's staying still. But when it starts moving, it does that really sort of weird, like, early 3D movie effects. The kind of like 3D effects you saw probably in the earliest seasons of Reboot. They're just trying to get their hands around the 3D technology. So yeah, Sonic doesn't, I mean, the model, I like the idea, like, his spines have got more, like, a fur and, like, quill quality to it. I kind of like that idea, because it makes the Hedgehog stand out a bit more believable than just these blue things just sticking out of the back of his head. I mean, it's more believable. I will give them that. So that's another positive we can say. I like the redesign of Sonic, but when that starts moving, it's like, oh god, it just doesn't look right. Another nitpick is they throw in Knuckles, kind of like a Easter egg or a hint of a possible sequel. And this is a nitpick, okay? Knuckles doesn't have fingers. I mean, you could probably make a Knuckles hand with it, and it's kind of like this giant like lump of skin that looks like one finger kind of thing. He doesn't have fingers. I mean, you got the Knuckles that kind of look like hooks for some reason, but yeah, I'm just nitpicking now. This is just one last complaint I've got with it, and this is more back towards the whole premise thing. I mean, I like the idea, the way they structured it, but I got this one problem with it. It can't decide if it wants to be the games, the comics, or the cartoon series. I mean, what I mean by that is, when the movie starts, you see the rings, you see the Chaos Emeralds, it mentions like South Island, Planet Moods, you're thinking, oh cool, it's going to be just like the old games, before all this Station Square G-UN crap showed up. And then suddenly we see, humans, and you're thinking, oh great, we're going to more the Dreamcast modern era kind of stuff. Yay. And then they mention, Kintobo or Robotnik, the whole roboticization, you're thinking, oh, so now we're pandering to the Satam series. I know the Archie series does its own thing, but I don't give a shit about Archie. I'm more of a Fleetway kid at heart, to be honest. But I just feel like I wish they would pick something, Are you going to make it more like the Mega Drive era? Or are you going to make a movie based on the Dreamcast/modern era? Or are you going to pander to the Archie Satam crowd? Now, I know you get things that can abridge it all in one package, which is Arkham Asylum, which had references to the movies, comics, and the games in there. But we're not talking about Batman, or something as complex as Batman. We're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog. The little blue rodent that collects rings, and he fights Theodore Roosevelt. I mean, it's not complicated, and it doesn't need that much depth to it. I would have preferred it if it just picked something. If the whole movie was just from Sonic's perspective, If the whole movie was from Sonic's perspective, running around a field, and every now and then we see Robotnik, that would have been great. Throwing in all this GUN and the military thing, But having said all that, once we weighed up all the pros and cons, what do I genuinely think? I think it's a nice effort, and it's good to see that fans can probably do a better movie job than Sonic could, but it's too short. It doesn't focus on the title character. It throws in more human characters that are never explored, never developed, and I don't give two shits about. And it's a giant missed opportunity. That's probably the best way I could sum this up. I mean, if the reaction to this is incredibly positive, and he makes like an hour and 20-minute version, then fantastic. Dude, if you want to make an hour version, you have my full support on that one, because I know you could probably flesh all of these things out, because the Mega Man fan movie, I mean, as low budget as it was, there was a decent story in there. This has the potential of being a decent story, but the problem with it is, like I said, too short, and it doesn't focus on the things that need to be explained. If this gets a sequel or an updated version of it, it needs to be expanded upon. That's all I'm trying to say. You can find this movie for free on YouTube at the Blue Core Studios YouTube channel, a link in the description. But yeah, that's going to conclude it for the Sonic movie. It was okay, nothing special, but if it gets a sequel, you've got my full support, dude, because I know you can fix these problems. Until next time, everybody, I have been Random, take care, and I'll see you all in the near future. Peace.
If this thing is still alive, there may be more.
Oh god, there is more. Much, much more.